Hey everyone, Steve Stevens from the Virgin Busters here. In today's episode, we have a virgin to tackle and interview. His love for Checkers Party Quiz isn't healthy, and his fear of the Sega logo is concerning. Let's bust some virgins. Wait, no!
Here. It's that time of year again. It's Christmas Eve. We're one day away from the main event. It's so weird that so much hype is built around this holiday. This is like E3. It happens every year and we need to accept it. Well, 2020 and 2022 didn't have E3, so maybe Christmas will be cancelled soon. But forget all of that. Apparently I'm gonna be interviewed for the Virgin Busters, and I can say they made a good choice. But I have a trick up my sleeve. Why don't I talk about collector on this interview? It sure will beef up my resume. Son of a bitch, I'm 10 minutes late. How's going Gone here?
How's it going, Gone? Steve Stevens here.
I can't say it's an honor.
So, talk about yourself. What's with the Segophobia?
Oh, that was just a phase, don't worry. I'm now on Pipin phobia phase. I can look at one or I'll piss myself.
Understandable. So, how did all of this start?
I can't say specifically, but it happened somewhere in January of 2021. One day I took a look at my copy of Mega Drive collection and said, why not again? I didn't even finish Sonic 2, what was the point of doing it again? Game collecting. Yup, if you haven't noticed yet, I'm into it. I'm a video game collector. I'm that kind of guy that sees a copy of James Bond 2 codename Robocop and squee. I care about the state of my Sonic 3 box and the consistency and how they look on the shelf. Generally, when you play a game, you lock it up in a safe to never be seen again. But collectors don't do that, they need to show off how their copy of Crash Bash looks. Except me, I still do that to some games, but I have my reasons, okay? I've been playing video games for God knows how long, but I only gained interest on the history of it around 2015. Now that's where I discovered that the Atari Jaguar was real and we can't do anything about it. And then I saw the prices of old games and discovered how expensive Pokemon Emerald was. It's a big responsibility. That's how I discovered that it doesn't matter if the game sold like hotcakes. If the game is popular, the chances of it being expensive are massive. For example, the Pokemon series is the most profitable game series of all time. Every game has sold more than 1 million copies. Heck, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million copies in 3 days. How the f*** are the old games so expensive? Pokemon Soul Silver and Heart Gold for the Nintendo DS sold tons of copies, but the game is still worth 90 bones or more, but we're getting off track. I didn't get into collecting until early 2021. I had the aforementioned that game Sega Genesis and I said to myself, this needs more Sonic. I bought Sonic 1 for €9, which is a solid deal, how could I pass it up? Later that same month, I got Super Mario 3D Land and not long after, Super Smash Bros. For 3DS. These were new copies and I only got into the essential 3DS games 1 year after it got discontinued. In June, I got my first used console, the Sega Mega Drive, and alongside it I got Sonic 3D Blast. This game, I just can't play it. I mean, what else could you pick with a Mega Drive? 3D Blast is a must-have, even if it f***s. Then in August I got Tekken 3 for the PlayStation, Super Mario Land and Tetris for the Game Boy. Tekken 3 is one of the best games on the console, and I think I got a good deal for it. Tetris and Super Mario Land are must-haves for a Game Boy, but try to guess which was the most expensive. It was the one with the f***ed-up label. This just proves my theory I said earlier. This game sold millions and I paid 20 euros 32 years later. Now this one was a haul. Tomodachi Life for the 3DS, Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 for the Genesis, and Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation. Tomodachi Life was cool to have. I played the same demo for 3 years, so I think it was time. Sonic 2. I don't think it was worth the 18 bones. I paid 50 euros for this. Yeah, torn box art f***ed manual $50. I think it was worth it. Come on, it's Sonic 3, just a half-passed game of the classic games. Crash 2? I think it was a solid deal, it came with everything. That's why you should shop at mom and pop stores for retro games before shopping at the big ones. Most of the things I listed at this point were from a mom and pop store, except Tomodachi Life, Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. These were from CEX. CEX, my worst nightmare. I think it's okay to shop at CEX, I do it a lot, but you should refuse to do so. Their prices are stupid expensive and their quality is hit or miss, although they have a 2-year guarantee, that's actually good. I bought Lemmings for the Genesis. Moving over to 2022, I bought my second used console, the Nintendo GameCube. Alongside it, Mario Kart Double Dash. And that's why you shouldn't buy from the big ones. These were from CEX. The GameCube was fine, but on the other hand, Mario Kart Double Dash was just broken. So I refunded it and got Luigi's Mansion for $50 on the Superior store. It was either that or Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Did I really have a choice? Later I got Mario Kart Double Dash and Super Smash Bros. Melee, and thank god they were okay. But the Mario Kart madness doesn't stop there. I got Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS in April, then I got Mario Kart Super Circuit for the GBA and Kingdom Hearts for the PS2 in August. And then Mario Kart DS in September. I bought Tekken 5 on CX because I had 8 extra bucks to spend on. And the last thing I bought was Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube. 35 was a bit steep, but come on, it was a GameCube game and I bought it on a convention where the mom and pop shop had a stand. I just had to support them. Okay, this was a rundown of things I got since I started collecting for almost 2 years now. But if you're just starting now and need advices, you've come to the right place.
No, you didn't.
First thing, what console should I start collecting? That depends. If you have a PS2 for example, you should start there. However, buying old games can be a bit difficult, they're not in every store. Buy from mom and pop retro game stores first, then buy from CX and GameStop, and eBay is the last resort. eBay is the place I avoid at all costs buying stuff from. The shipping fee is high and I can easily be catfished. Second advice. Prices. I suggest using price charting websites to study prices and see how much some games have risen in prices. You should always use this before anything else. Some games can be poop slinger and if so, everything's lost. GameCube games are stupidly expensive nowadays because of nostalgia. This was the same case with the SNES and N64 a few years ago, but their prices are going down slowly. NES can be very cheap sometimes, or not. PlayStation games are always cheap, PS1 to PS3. But beware, PS3 games are slowly getting expensive, so keep an eye out for those. Xbox is always cheap, especially the original Xbox. Third advice, don't buy bargain bin games. FIFAs, Just Dance, Maddens, cheap racing games, avoid them at all costs. They're like a plague, you expect to find God of War 2 and then disappears. Even if you find them in places they shouldn't be, don't buy them, they'll fill your collection and then it gets boring. Fourth advice, always make sure you have the box. If they're cartridge-based games, getting the boxes can be a bit difficult since they were probably cardboard, and most of the time it's not a problem. Disc games? Oh man, you need the boxes for it, or at least a dummy one. Please, don't store on these little disc compartments, they will ruin the disc and it's less professional. Fifth advice. Collect the games you want to collect. There's no need to get every single game of one console. If only some games interest you, stick with those. Of course, you could get every N64 game, but warning, it will be very difficult and expensive. Sixth advice. Have fun. Really, have fun and buy everything for reasonable prices and quality, or you'll end up like my copy of Sonic 3. Now, let's talk about some consoles and what I personally say to them in a collector's point of view. Atari and every console from that generation. I don't have any and I'm not looking forward to owning one in the near future. Well, sure, eventually I'll get one and start collecting, but for now, I don't really care. I think the one that's intriguing at the moment is the Vectrex, and that one is rare and expensive. The original NES, the classic video system. Games are relatively cheap and easy to find, but I'm not interested at the moment. The SNES is similar, however, I'm getting more invested on it over time, and games are a bit more expensive than NES games. N64, the console I wanted since I first started. My love for the console has certainly died down on the last years, but if I get one, I'll go for all the PAL library. It's small and it's the N64. It's because of this console that I started this, so I think it deserves it. GameCube. Games are extremely rare and expensive as but it's my favorite console and it has amazing games. I won't go for all the games, that's just madness, but I'll get the games I need. The Wii is probably the easiest console to get games on. They're really cheap and they're everywhere you go. I don't have one, but getting one is not hard. Wii U. I'm not even going there. I'm not touching the filthy library that is the Wii U. Jokes aside, the Wii U is cool and has some good games, but they're hard to find and they're getting expensive as time goes on. Master System. I have no interest in this console, but because I live in a Sega country where Sega reigns supreme, games are relatively easy to find. Genesis. I love getting Genesis games, they're the only ones where the box is included guaranteed. Games can be a bit expensive, but nothing too absurd. Except Separation Anxiety, I've been waiting 2 years for the price to go down, but it looks like that'll never happen. Sega Saturn. Actually, I like the Saturn. At some point I was considering getting it before the Genesis. Maybe someday, but I gotta get to account that Saturn games are pricey, even in a country like Portugal where everyone had a Sega console. Dreamcast. I've seen many Dreamcasts around and it's the same case as the N64. This console motivated me to start collecting. But I'm not going for a full set of games. Dreamcast doesn't even compare to N64 games. There's just too much. The Sony PlayStation. I love picking up PS1 games, especially when there's a variety of good games. Nothing much to say here. PS2. Same case as the Wii, there's games everywhere and cheap as well. I'm not that interested for the PS2, but eventually my PS2 phase will kick in. PS3. For now, I think I have the necessities. But beware new collectors, PlayStation 3 is getting expensive. Xbox consoles. I don't care for any of them. I don't have any Xbox console and none of them speak to me. Now let's talk about the modern stuff. I don't care for the PS4. I think it's the only PlayStation where I don't even bother to pick new stuff for. Since the PS5 released, I've been buying games for that console. The only thing the PS4 releases now is ports of PS5 games. Why not pick up the PS5 versions? The Nintendo Switch. I think this is my primary modern console to collect. They're cheaper than PS5 and it's Nintendo, so why not? Game collecting is seen by some as a skill or an ability, but I've got to heavily disagree. Are you saying that wasting money on old junk is a skill? This is a hobby and I know it's not for everyone. Game collecting is fun if you have knowledge of all these pieces of junk that are over 30 years. Even if they're getting expensive over time and it's becoming less fun because of it, I still think collecting is fun. And the fact that you can own a piece of video game history is fascinating.
I only asked you about the Pippin phobia.
Hey, where Egon cancelled Virgin Boosters. We can't accept this kind of content, so start packing your stuff.
Great, you made the studio execs cancel the Virgin Busters.
I'm proud of myself. I cancelled a TV show and made my message clear to the world about game collecting. Christmas is looking good this year. I even received a gift from Santa. This is the best Christmas ever.